You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome to the Toronto Sports Rush, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's Monday. I'm Kyle, and that means I am joined by Mr. Pierre McGuire. Pierre, this is going to be the last official McGuire Monday before we go into the Olympic break. The last time we're talking about NHL hockey. And boy, we got nothing but good things to say about these Toronto Maple Leafs, who this past weekend managed to snap their losing streak by beating one of the worst teams in the NHL via shootout.
It's a good thing that William Nylander was there. I'm not sure if they would have got that job done. That being said, they showed a lot of – I will say this. They're still playing against another team that gets paid. They're still playing against a team that when this season started had a little bit more promise than what they're showing right now. And they're playing against a team in Vancouver that's got some pride and a professional coach in Adam Foote. All that being said, the Leafs are not trending in the right direction. I think we all know that. And I can tell you again, I got it wrong at the start of the year. I thought the Leafs were going to be a formidable foe. I really did, Kyle. They just haven't turned out to be that good.
Admittedly, Pierre, I'm right there with you. We got it wrong. We talked about this a lot. And this team never did live up to the sum of its parts. And they were on this really nice win streak. We thought they were going to cruise into this break with the sun shining and the silver lining showing in the clouds. It's far from that. And on that same broadcast Saturday night, Elliot Friedman stated that the Toronto Maple Leafs are in cellar mode, but he didn't go any further than that. And he didn't think anyone would be surprised by anything big. But is this a soft rebuild or a hard rebuild? Because something needs to be rebuilt.
I think it's eventually going to have to be a hard rebuild, and I'll tell you why. They don't have a lot of pure A-level prospects. Ben Danford's probably one of their best pure prospects. And I don't want to open up old wounds, but Fraser Minton is playing in Boston right now. He would probably be their best prospect, and right now he's playing as a serviceable number one center with the Boston Bruins, and Ben Steeves is playing in Boston as well. So those are two Leaf prospects that are now part of the Boston Bruins organization, and they would be considered A-level prospects in Boston. Maybe Steeves would be more of a B+, but the truth of the matter is there's not a lot there, and so they got to kind of rebuild it, and they're going to have to do it aggressively. I feel bad saying that, but that's just the reality of the business.
Well, given how we thought they were in something of a rebuild with moving on from Marner and adding these new pieces, it clearly has not worked. It's clearly not going to work at this stage. There are too many games into this now to not make significant changes. What other choice do they have at this point? This fan base needs something to keep their attention, and sitting in the bottom of the Atlantic Division just certainly isn't it.
The Leafs thought they had that when they let Marner go. Remember the outcries last spring when they lost the 7-game series to Florida? Everybody's like, we got to change the DNA, the term of the general manager, Brad Treliving. So they thought they did that. Part of changing that DNA was moving one of the big pieces out of the core four. That was Mitchell Marner. Well, that was probably a misstep. Now that you look at it, Austin Matthews hasn't been the same player without Mitchell Marner. The team's penalty killing has been nowhere near as good without Mitchell Marner. And the power play, even though it's been a little better of late, has been nowhere near as effective without Mitchell Marner. In fact, it probably cost Mark Savard his job when you think about it. So you look at the miscalculation on Marner and his value to the Leafs is being undersold by most members of the media. And I'll tell you why. Because the media pushed for Marner to be gone. And they do not want to step up and own their mistake.
Let's go back to that moment in time when this relationship began being severed. Is there even, moving on from him, a mistake maybe, but was there even a universe at that point in which that relationship could be salvaged? Because things were ugly towards the end, including on the ice in that Game 7, and then with all the nonsense off the ice, with his personal space being violated and just things being said in the media and in social media. Could that have ever been salvaged anyhow?
I think so. That's where you get professional management, and that's where you have professional leadership. And a big part of that is sometimes you take guys away from the environment and the intensity, and you go somewhere else. So I'll give you an example. If you're Brad Treliving, you pick the phone up and you say to Mitchell Marner, maybe you go through the agent, maybe you go directly to Mitchell, and you say, let's you and I go away. Let's go to London. Let's go to Paris. Let's go to Rio. Let's you and I just go. Let's go to Napa Valley. Let's just go away, the two of us. Let's talk about what we think you are versus what you think you are. Let's talk about what you expect from us versus what we expect from ourselves. Let's have a meeting of the minds. And the reason why I say that, I will never forget being part of the management team in Ottawa when we were at a stalemate on the Brady Tkachuk contract negotiation. And one of our coworkers, Peter McTavish, who's now an agent, he said, you know what we should do? We should call up Donnie Meehan and Craig Oster and meet them halfway. They can drive from Mississauga to Belleville. We'll drive from Ottawa to Belleville. That's where our farm team was. We'll meet privately, clandestinely almost, and we'll try to get a deal done there. Neutral ground, so to speak. And we found out what they didn't like about the negotiation, and they found out from us what we didn't like about the negotiation. And eventually, it led to a settlement that night. We got it done. And I think they could have done the same thing with a Mitchell Marner had they probably chosen to exercise that. But you know what, Kyle? They chose not to, and now you have what you have.
Yeah, and Pierre, in fairness, back then asking someone to drive from Mississauga to Belleville was much less of a torture as it is these days with the traffic around there. So I'm not sure how well that would fly now, but I certainly wouldn't want to be heading back from Belleville anytime around rush hour. Now, that said, let's kind of go through the Leafs roster a little bit here. And who would Pierre Maguire not? Who's an untouchable on this roster? Give me a list of guys who you would absolutely keep for whatever the next version of this team looks like.
Joseph Woll, I'd keep Joseph Woll. I would keep Christopher Tanev. I'd keep Simon Benoit because you need to have depth defensemen that are physical and fearless, so I would keep him. I would keep Stevie Lorentz. I would keep Scotty Lawton. I would keep Austin Matthews, and I'd keep Nikita.
How about the leadership of John Tavares? And he is on this roster for a bargain. I mean, they could probably, which means they could probably move him for pieces. Yeah, but do you need him?
No, I would keep John. John is a good soldier. I think if you traded him away, you'd send the wrong message to the rest of the group. And I think you don't want to do that. It would be convenient to trade him away because there'd be huge value there, especially at this age. But I would keep him because he's going to be one of the trendsetters, and he's going to insulate Austin. You got to have insulation for Austin. Austin's ability to deal with the media is not as good as it should be, and that's something they got to be aware of. And whereas John has been an amazing person through this whole thing, losing the captaincy, all the bitter playoff disappointments, John's been really the standard bearer for the organization in a positive way. So, no, I don't think you should trade John.
But is he an easy piece to move? Like, would he potentially put in at the salary he took with this team? He's got to be easy to move, and you almost wonder he might not see a future in which he's getting to a conference or a Stanley Cup final with this hockey team while he's still playing anymore. Is there any chance that he would want to leave and take a crack at it with another team? Because he'd be a valuable asset for just about any team looking down the barrel of a cup.
I wouldn't want to do that to somebody like John. I'd rather John formulate that opinion, Kyle.
Yeah.
But here's how I would look at it with John more than anything else. He's an important player. You could say, hey, Raymond Bourque tried this when he left Boston and it worked really well. Or you can say, you know what, you're the guy that we really need. You're the glue that keeps this whole thing together. Do you want to stay here? And the way I would do it is look at what happened in Pittsburgh this year. Everybody speculated on what would happen with Sidney Crosby. Everybody speculated on what would happen with Chris Letang. And everybody speculated what would happen with Evgeny Malkin. They all stayed, and look where they are right now. That doesn't mean Toronto can't turn this around. There are pieces there to get this thing fixed in a hurry. There are pieces there. But you're going to have to be proactive as a management team. And I know Leaf fans don't want to hear this. Kyle Dubas got proactive. Look at the players that they've added there. Look at the coaching staff that they've built there. They've made their team formidable. The Pittsburgh Penguins are really tough. And go watch their farm team play. They got prospects, and they got a whack more coming out of college in particular. Will Horkoff is a tremendous A-level prospect. They got a lot of guys coming. They really do.
Yeah, and as you just basically said, they've seen their way out. They now have a clear path out of the Crosby era, which will come to an end soon, and into the next era, something the Leafs are sorely lacking without the same sort of farm system. So let's put all that to bed right now. I agree. Tavares should stay here. If they're going to rebuild anything successful anytime soon, he'll be the soldier that could be at the center of it all.
Agreed.
Let's go across the nation of Canada, of course, starting with the Leafs. The de facto first half comes to an end shortly. We take the Olympic break. Let's give a report card grade to all the Canadian teams, starting, of course, with the Toronto Maple Leafs, Pierre.
Toronto Maple Leafs are D+. Very disappointing.
Very disappointing. Okay, let's start from the West Coast and move right across. Vancouver Canucks.
They are a D-. Amazingly disappointing. I think the biggest thing with Vancouver is when the season started, a lot of people thought without JT Miller being there that everything would be cleansed and the team be going in the right direction. Nothing could be further from the truth. And then you compound it with the trading of Quinn Hughes. Big problems in Vancouver.
The Edmonton Oilers.
They would be probably a B+ or a B. I'm going to do a B. And the reason why I'm frustrated with Edmonton, I think they're probably frustrated too. Goaltending obviously has been an issue.
Still.
They've tried with Stuart Skinner. They tried with Calvin Pickard. Now they're trying with Tristan Jarry. Hasn't worked yet. But team defense isn't there. The overall, it's not so much the defense, it's team defense. Yeah. They get more than enough goals to win. They can't defend well enough. So until they figure that out, they're always going to be like a B team in my eyes.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to beat the Colorado Avalanche the way they play hockey right now because you can't win every game 7-6. It just doesn't work that way.
Not in the playoffs, you're not.
Not in the playoffs. The Calgary Flames.
I would say they're a C+. I actually think that Ryan Huska, the coach there, has done a good job in a very tumultuous situation. They've got a goaltending situation that's really positive, especially with Dustin Wolf. Cooley's been very good behind him. I like the development of their defense. Even though they're younger, I do think the defense will continue to evolve and get better. And, they're starting to formulate a plan for how they want to go forward, which is really positive. So I give them a C+.
Good. The Winnipeg Jets?
C-. Really disappointed in the Winnipeg Jets. I thought they'd be bigger. I thought they'd be more brash. And quite frankly, Kyle, I thought they'd have a better balance of offense. They haven't had that. They're a one-line offensive team right now. And if Kyle Connor isn't scoring or Mark Scheifele's not scoring or Gabe Vilardi's not scoring, they're not winning. And everybody in the league knows that, so they just take those guys away as a weapon.
The Ottawa Senators?
They're like a B-. They're playing really well right now. They had a tough start to the year. The injuries set them back. The injury to Shabbat set them back. The injury to Tkachuk really set them back. Obviously, they had some situations in goal with Linus Olmark and some of his, mental health issues. But they're getting it back on track, and they're playing really well right now. I can't say enough about Timmy Stützle. Timmy Stützle is a superstar player in the league. Dylan Cousins has been outstanding, especially in the power play. And Ridley Gregg's one of the most improved forwards in the National Hockey League. Ottawa's a good team right now.
And let's close it with the Montreal Canadiens.
They've been a solid B+, almost an A-level team right from the start of the year. They had to go through some goaltender flux, which they were able to figure out, and now it looks like Jakub Dobiš is going to be the starter. They've done some really good stuff with their defense, especially with Caden Gooley coming back, playing with Mike Matheson in a shutdown situation. Lane Hudson's one of the best defensemen in the league, and they've got a second line right now. They call it the kid line with Demidov on the right side and Kapanen at center, and then you got Big Slavkovsky on the left side. That line is really, really dangerous to play against. And Cole Caulfield's one of the best game breakers in the league right now. Montreal's really good.
Excellent, Pierre. So before we move on to some talk about the Olympics, which is going to be dominating things around here for the next little while, we have to discuss the Stadium Series game that went on yesterday. The Tampa Bay Lightning coming back from 5-1 down to win in a shootout sparked by the first ever goalie fight in a Stadium Series game, and it was a good one.
It was. First of all, congratulations to Brandon Hagel. Scored 11 seconds into the game. That's the fastest goal ever in an outdoor game at the pro level. That's unbelievable. And it was a heck of a shot. He ripped that thing right by Jeremy Swayman. Then maybe that got Swayman mad. That's why he got involved in the fight.
He couldn't let it go.
The only thing I'd say, and I've known Jeremy a long time, going back to when he played at the University of Maine. He's an Alaska kid that went to Maine. So he's a tough kid. He's not a softie. And I would have given him some advice. You're maybe 6'1". Vasilevsky's 6'5". And he's a tough guy, and he throws with his left, and he's very good with his left hand. You better be ready for that. And I don't know if Jeremy was ready for that. That was a heck of a battle. It was.
I guess they forgot to put reach and which punch combos they use in the game scouting. I don't think the goalies often have to scout each other before the games, but maybe this will be a turn in game prep for the NHL across the board. It was old-time hockey, Pierre. Played outdoor in a stadium in an area that, it's just fantastic. It felt good.
I thought it was all kind of set up with the way the Tampa coaches showed up. They showed up with those like mafia Don type outfits on. And I love the way
It's a prelude.
I love the way their players showed up all dressed as Tampa Bay Buccaneers in football uniforms.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's really cool, Baker Mayfield was there, the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to greet the players. Ryan McDonough, there's a great picture of Ryan McDonough actually hugging Baker Mayfield. People don't know this about Ryan McDonough. Ryan McDonough went to Cretin-Durham High School in Minnesota. He was a three-sport superstar. He was a football guy, he was a hockey guy, and he was a baseball guy. He was an amazing athlete. He was one of the only players that walked in the football uniform that looked like a football player.
Yeah.
He walked like a football player. He carried himself like a football player. All the other guys like, these pads are weird. How am I supposed to walk with these things?
Pierre, there was a time, it was about a year, maybe a year or two ago, I was beginning to think the outdoor games were getting a little long in the tooth, but I really like what they've done with them this year. They've made it more pageantry, and they've brought better attention on the game by involving other sports superstars and just really making it more of an event that's, it's still about the game, but it's about the game within the game. It's really been a lot of fun this year.
It's a great catch by you, Kyle. I couldn't agree more. I really mean that. Great catch. It has made a difference. The first one they played down in Miami, I actually was over in Europe and I was watching it and I was blown away. And then I did some work after the game. So it was like 4 o'clock in the morning in Europe, and I was blown away by the response by the people that actually watched.
Yeah.
It was really good. I know the rating wasn't good on it. It was less than 1 million, but it really created some buzz. And I think that's what led to the success of yesterday. And it didn't hurt that we had goals and we had a massive comeback, and we also had the pageantry you're talking about. Tim McGraw was outstanding, obviously, as a singer at the event. But I think the biggest thing was the goalie fight got a lot of people's attention. Yes. It really did. It got a lot. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just saying it got a lot of people's attention. It did.
Listen, there are no two safer players on the entire ice that can get involved with a fight. They're so heavily padded right now. They look like those people in those bubbles that fight in like novelty rodeos and stuff at this point. Yeah. Okay, Pierre, let's move on to the Olympic talk that we can't wait to get to all the time. Now, I want to start with the women's because on a personal level to me, I have never been more excited for the women's Olympic hockey, but it has nothing to do with me being a Canadian, and everything to do with women's hockey on the international level is no longer about North America. There are quality teams all across the world, and the competition's never been better. And that's a positive thing for anyone, no matter who you cheer for. This is going to be a fantastic Olympics for the women.
The most important thing that can happen is that we have some upsets. I'm not saying Canada and the U.S. won't play in the gold because I believe they will. Sure. I believe they will. But we got to get some upsets, whether it's Czechia, whether it's Slovakia, whether it's Germany, whether it's Sweden, whether it's Finland. One of those teams has to break through. There's been amazing growth in Czechia in particular with the women's game. Sweden's always been at the forefront of this. Finland was starting the surge. They've kind of gone backwards a little bit. Maybe that's part of their age group that they have representing them right now. But the games will be fantastic. I think the drama will be amazing. I wish that the gold medal game would have actually been a series, best 2 out of 3 or best 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Just because I'm pretty sure we're going to have Canada versus the U.S. The one thing I would say that's really important, this is an American team with a lot of older women on it, a lot of seasoned veterans, so to speak, but this is the beginning of the passing of the torch, from Kendall Coyne-Schofield down to younger players that are going to be breaking through. And if you're watching, especially if you're watching skill, there's a young lady that plays for the U.S. Her name is Haley Wynn. I'm just telling you, when you watch her play, she's a right-hand shot. But if you're really into hockey, there's a Raymond Bourque thing to her game that blows me away. Now, Raymond was a left shot. She's a right shot. The way she carries the puck, the way she skates, the way she defends, the way she shoots from the blue line. I know she shoots a different way, but it reminds me of Raymond. I used to draw up game plans to beat up on Raymond. And I'm watching this young lady play, and I've watched her for a long time now. She's so good. When you see her play, you're going to be blown away how good she is. Really special.
Pierre, you made note of her skill level there too, and I would like to encourage our viewers, because I'm sure there are a lot of people watching this right now or that are going to be tuning into the Olympics. They probably haven't paid a ton of attention to women's hockey since the last Olympics. When they see the leap that has been made in the quality of international teams and the quality of the skill players on the ice, they're going to be blown away. Do not miss the women's games in this Olympics, even if your country's not playing. There's some high quality hockey that's going to be played.
Kyle, you couldn't be more correct. I'm so happy you said that. I can't wait to watch. I'll be doing a lot of the games afterwards for NBC, just for reaction. And I'm just so pumped for it. I really think this term's got a chance to be a major breakthrough. I thought even though it started in 98, 98 was really good. You had the upset, excuse me, USA versus Canada. 02 was great because Canada won, and you had that magical moment with Ailey Wickenheiser getting mad at, the passion of the event. 06 was kind of a traumatized situation because the Americans lost to Kim Martin and the Swedes. But the breakthrough moment for women's hockey was 2010 in Vancouver. The crowd was amazing. I did the game, the gold medal game. And what was mind-shattering was how good Marie-Philippe Poulin was.
Yes.
This will probably be her last Olympics, I would imagine. She is a superstar. She is so darn good. She's such an amazing ambassador for the sport. She's one of the few women I could say, whether it was 98, 10, 14, 18, didn't matter. She's been able to play at all levels because of her skill level and her ability to shoot the puck. She's a phenomenal, phenomenal ambassador for the sport, Marie-Philippe Poulin. But it all changed, I believe, for the women's game in 2010. The caliber of play blew everybody away.
Yeah, I think you're right, Pierre. That was actually, admittedly, the first time that I paid very close attention to the entire women's tournament, and you're not wrong about anything you've said there. Let's move over to the men's side of things right now. And I mean, we've talked about the men's from every angle you possibly can on this channel already, but now that we're on the eve of this tournament beginning, what can Canadian hockey fans expect from this team realistically? It's gold or bust still, is it not?
Yeah, it's gold or bust, 100%. The only concern you have is how stable will the goaltending be? And if they have a couple of injuries on the back end, will they have enough defensive depth? They've got more than enough firepower. They'll be the deepest forward group in the whole tournament. And I say that with all due respect to the Americans. The Swedes have taken a major hit due to injuries. The Finns are going to be very industrious and hardworking. I don't think they'll have enough firepower to keep up to the U.S. or the Canadians. Czechia and Slovakia will be hard to play against because they'll have good tactics. They just won't be able to score enough, I don't believe, and they'll be overwhelmed because of the depth of USA and Canada. All the other teams, I don't think, have a legitimate chance to even compete. So Canada and U.S., it's setting up for a Canada-U.S. final, especially because of the injuries that the Swedes have had pre-tournament, and they're not getting any of those players back. But Canada's really good. Canada's really good. They're going to score probably between 3.5 to 5.5 goals a game. Like, that's a lot. They're not going to give up very much. And if they stay healthy on defense, they should be in a pretty good spot.
Okay, Pierre, so let's end on a fun note. Let's each predict which teams we think will go 1 through 4 in the standings at the Olympics, of course, covering the gold medal and the bronze medal game. You go first.
So 1 through 4 meaning in each side, or?
No, just like in the final standings, the first being the gold, second silver.
So I'm going to say Canada gold. I'm going to say U.S. Silver. I'll say Swede bronze. I'll say Finland fourth.
Okay, I'm going with the same first two as you. Canada beats the U.S. in the gold medal game, but I'm going to have Czechia winning the bronze medal in an upset over the Swedes.
Okay. All right.
That's my prediction.
Why I picked Finland, I'll tell you why. Every time I go there and I watch those players train and practice, I've never been to a country, and I've been all over the hockey world, where I see more industrious, intense training than the Finns.
Yeah.
And they usually, not always, but usually they're in the bronze medal game just because of their country size. And usually they win the bronze, and they win it because they just said, this is our gold medal. The bronze medal for them, a country of almost 8 million, 9 million people, that's like a gold medal for them. So that's why I picked Finland.
Right, and for them, that would place them on the world stage of hockey, which is just the biggest thing. It's not realistic for them to, hey, this is a team that they could sneak into the gold medal game. Yeah. Like the parity across both the men's and women's now is so much fun. It's always the highlight of the Winter Olympics for most of us. Just sure, there's some ice dancing, but I like the dancing on the ice when they're holding the sticks a little bit better.
You like the goalie fight dancing.
I like the goalie fight dancing. I mean, you just don't get a lot of that in figure skating. Ever since Tanya Harding left, we just don't get the same sort of action that we used to get in figure skating. So, Pierre, any last thoughts before we send McGuire Monday off to the Olympics?
I'm so pumped for the Olympics. I'm so pumped to spend a lot of time working with you, Kyle, and looking forward to it. It's a really exciting time of the year.
Likewise, Pierre. I'll see you tomorrow night on our post game following the Leafs' final matchup before the break.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.